Hello, everyone. I'm Voltaire Zanite, and welcome to this brand new podcast I'm starring called The Fazbear Feed. My main idea for this podcast is a series of multiple things, like, you know, what if this happened in the lore? Theories, lore discussions, character discussions, news, and, talking about the fan base as well. Plus, so much more, as the podcast goes on. I mean, who knows? Maybe interviews might become a part of this podcast if the Fazbear Feed gets enough attention. But for the first ever episode of the Fazbear Feed, I feel it'd be, appropriate to start off by, telling my story of how I found out about Five Nights at Freddy's and how it has changed me throughout the years. Thing is, by now I'm sure everyone has heard, the news that Scott Kaufman, creator of Five Nights at Freddy's, or FNaF for short, is retiring, and that his retirement probably didn't sit well with a lot of us. Maybe because we thought we wouldn't live to see that happen, or maybe because his retirement happened right after some ridiculous drama on Twitter surrounding him about his political beliefs. Listen, I'll just say it now. Scott loves his fans. Regardless of his political standpoint, the man has done so much good for people. He's donated to charities like St. Jude's, especially on live streams put on by the famous FNaF YouTuber Dawko, which, by the way, love Dawko. Scott has also created the Fazbear Fanverse, to which he helps fund certain fan games like The Joy of Creation, Pop Goes, Five Nights at Candy's, One Night at Flumpty's, games like that. And I'm pretty sure there's more to come. Who knows? I mean, they could get, platforms on other consoles, continue their story, and even gain merch. I mean, imagine a Pop Goes action figure. That'd be interesting. And I'd totally buy it. Five Nights at Freddy's is literally a category on GameJolt, as many felt inspired by Scott Kaufman to make their own FNaF fan game. The Five Nights at Freddy's fan base is a community that was brought together by one man who still inspires us to this day. I will always support him. He may not be perfect, but he is my inspiration for so many things. When I first began middle school, Five Nights at Freddy's just hit the gaming world. And, like any other morning, I wake up early, get on the bus feeling sleepy as heck. I mean, seriously, ugh. I mean, I'm pretty sure we can all relate that waking up, for school mornings has always been a pain. Or, at least to some of us, I don't know. If you like that, I mean, that's you. But anyways, around this time, Five Nights at Freddy's 1 was already, I think, maybe a few weeks old or so. There were these classmates on the bus with me who were playing this game. Before then, I never even heard of Five Nights at Freddy's. And that was exactly what they were playing. They saw me staring, because, it was, early in the morning, and I was just, curious what they were playing on the school laptop. And, upon seeing me, they actually dared me to play, wanting to get a good scare out of me. During this time, I wasn't a huge fan of horror games or horror in general, but as a kid who didn't want to seem like a coward, I accepted and played it. It was night 2. The game upon first impression felt like I was watching a Chuck E. Cheese or some kind of amusement park attraction at night. I saw, the characters, so it was very weird. I never knew the characters at first, so upon seeing Bonnie for the first time, I thought he was a grayish bear animatronic at the time. I mean, sure, I'm pretty sure now, upon seeing him, we'd all see him as a bunny, but, me seeing Five Nights at Freddy's for the first time, I saw Bonnie as a grayish bear, probably because of the camera quality, and, upon the fact that I never met these characters before. I even thought Chica was a duck. I mean, seriously, have you ever seen a yellow chicken before? I haven't. And around that time, Foxy seems like the scariest thing I would ever see. And, well, clearly as the series continued, I was clearly wrong. When those kids talked about going Freddy as well, I thought, upon hearing that, I thought it was just a trophy in the game for completing all 5 nights. Nope! Just another scare added to the game. Probably the most surprising at this point in time. Not too long after, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 came out, and they wanted me to play that as well. I didn't want to scare myself, so this time I refused. But I don't remember how, but I played it anyways. My guess, they probably persuaded me. I don't know. It was since middle school, and that's been like years ago. I didn't hear about, I didn't hear any of Phone Guy's calls, so, because we were on a bus, and you know how a bus motor works. And so, I didn't hear the phone guy, tell me anything about the Freddy mask. And considering I didn't know anything about Five Nights at Freddy's 2, imagine my surprise when I see Foxy jump out of the darkness and kill me in the game. Instant game over. I was like, what the heck? I mean, isn't there like a door or something? They just tell me, nope, there's no door. I mean, man, what a shock. And to this day, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is probably one of the best, Five Nights at Freddy's games Scott has ever made. It adds the challenge, variety of characters, and, it's actually fun. I mean, a couple years after, I actually, gained enough courage to actually complete the game. Of course, I never got Custom Night, but I was able to get to Night 5, so that was something. Oh, no, wait, actually, I think I got to Night 6, but I never beat Night 6. Here's the thing. Withered Chica, scariest animatronic in that game. You see that thing in the vent? I felt terrified. But around that time, I still didn't want to get involved in the game. But apparently, my brother heard about the game, and he himself was actually intrigued by it. I don't know why, but he wanted to play it and know more about it. Not too long after, he told me about the lore of the game, and, onto that, I actually got curious. A purple guy? Crying children? Possessed animatronics? Minigames after each night? Or, when you get jump scared? A yellow suit? The lore was a thing to lure me into the, the fan base. It was the exact thing that got me in, because around that time, I was honestly starting to get a little interested in, mystery stories. And I became obsessed watching videos by 8-Bit Ryan and Razbowski and, other YouTubers. I even found out about the theories for the game and how interesting it was and how mysterious the story of the game series was. Eventually, Five Nights at Freddy's came along, and I wanted to know more. Springtrap, Fazbear's Fright, etc. I even watched videos by SMG4. He made a video about Mario surviving a night at Freddy's Spaghetteria. I mean, if Freddy's, sold spaghetti instead of pizza. I swear, that was more funny than scary. I was, on the floor laughing. After Five Nights at Freddy's 3, I thought the game had ended. I mean, the ending of Five Nights at Freddy's 3, you get two endings. Either the place burns down, or the spirits are not set free. Either way, there was actually, a possibility of two endings. But of course, only one of them was canon. And, honestly, I think the fanbase is still debating that to this day. But, after FNaF 3, a few months later, upon, Scott Games, came a teaser for Five Nights at Freddy's 4, and boy was I excited. During this time, I was intrigued by both the lore and the mechanics. In a way, I was obsessed with FNaF. Way more than before. Of course, FNaF 4 being one of the scariest games Scott has ever made. While I think it could have done better with the mechanics, it definitely did better on the, the scare factor. It was hard for me to play as I felt scared playing. Imagine playing a game where, sure, the majority of the game's dark, but imagine just, turning on your flashlight to get, jump scared by Nightmare Bonnie or Nightmare Chica. I'm pretty sure a majority of us felt that, and boy, we were just as scared as, when Markiplier was usually the first night is never that bad in any of the games, so let me just, that's still funny. But during this time, my brother, grew out of Five Nights at Freddy's. For some reason, I stayed interested. Probably because I like to finish a story, and sure, while FNaF has, probably had ended plenty more times in the past and probably in the future, it never, has ended, technically. Time passed, and we got FNaF World, which, in my opinion, despite Scott saying he can't do great RPGs, I think he did great for FNaF World. And I would have, been happy if there was been an update 3. But, honestly, we got what we got, and I'm happy with what we got from Scott. Eventually, we got Sister Location, and that changed, Five Nights at Freddy's forever. Instead of staying in one room, we traveled from multiple rooms, and even got voice acting. I mean, sure, FNaF World is when we, actually scratch that. FNaF World Update 2 is when we first got, voice acting. Sister Location was just the first, horror FNaF fan game to get voice acting. And I will say, we got mega trolled by Scott himself after he said FNaF 6 was cancelled. And upon, Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator's release, we all thought the story was over. During this time, I had plushies, McFarlane sets, like those technically rip-off Lego, but it's like Five Nights at Freddy's. And then, Funko's action figures for Five Nights at Freddy's, and, so much more. To this day, while the fanbase and Five Nights at Freddy's has changed in many ways, and yet still has sort of felt the same, I still enjoy them, so much. They inspire me to draw and improve my art as I wish to stand out like many creative people in the fanbase, even outside of it. And I have to thank Scott Kaufman for all of that, and all he has done. And even though we have Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted and, special delivery and soon security breach, he will be missed a lot in this community, and I wish him well in, having time for his family. And I wish Scott Kaufman a very successful retirement. Anyways, this has been my first episode of the Fazbear feed, and I hope you enjoyed it. The next episode will probably be a what-if scenario. Like, I'm really hoping to, make, stories on this podcast. Like, what if William Afton, didn't die in a Springlock suit? Or, what if Springtrap survived the fire of Fazbear's Fright? Or, what if the puppet, was never possessed? Or what if the animatronics were never possessed? Stuff like that. Like, what if this happened in the lore of Five Nights at Freddy's? Wouldn't that make for interesting stories? And I hope to bring that to this podcast. Especially for episode 2. But anyways, thank you all for listening. And if you like this podcast so far, please give it a chance and listen to any episode that comes out. Not every episode will be the same, and I'll try to give variety. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Voltaic Zanite. Also, just remember,
friends are forever.